First at 9 this Monday, the 20th of May 2024. Foul play. Iranian president and foreign minister die in helicopter crash. Rumors circulate on possible Israeli involvement. Fighting climate change. Global North has failed miserably to address climate change, says President Ranil Wickremesinghe at the 10th World Water Forum. Legislating for development. Government to present economic transformation and public financial management bills to Parliament next Wednesday, says State Minister of Finance. Stalled law enforcement. Prison officers launch strike over salary demands. Court proceedings disrupted as officers failed to produce suspects before court.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දිනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබා දෙත හැක.
From Derana, this is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to Derana First at 9. I'm Aditya Singh joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. Now taking you straight to your top story this evening. The Iranian state media have announced the death of Iran's president, Dr. Ibrahim Raisi, after the president's remains were discovered earlier today among the wreckage of a helicopter crash in northwestern Iran. Raisi was seen to be the successor to Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Although the exact cause of the crash remains uncertain, fingers have been pointed at Israel for its possible involvement.
Iranian state media today announced that Iranian President Dr. Ibrahim Raisi and Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdullahian, along with 7 other officials, had lost their lives after their helicopter crashed into a mountain peak in the Vazagan region in northwestern Iran, close to the Azerbaijan border. The Iranian ambassador to Sri Lanka, Dr. Ali Reza Delkhosh, spoke to the media on the circumstances surrounding the president's death.
Yesterday, 2 presidents of Islamic Republic of Iran and Republic of Azerbaijan participated in the opening ceremony of Khoda Afarin Dam in the border of Iran and Azerbaijan. After finishing this opening ceremony, 3 helicopters carried our president and all other accompanying delegation. 2 helicopters suddenly, after 20-25 minutes flight, noticed that the radio connection with president's helicopter is cut. They started to search, and after a lot of searching, they couldn't find any alarm from the president's helicopters. More than 70 rescue teams start searching from yesterday evening until today morning. Today early morning, they found crashed helicopter of president. Unfortunately, President, our foreign minister, and governor of one of the Iranian provinces, and representative of our supreme leader in that province, and also all flight crew passed away. After this accident, Iranian government notified that we will have 5 days public mourning in Iran.
The final rites of the deceased are to be performed tomorrow. President Raisi visited Sri Lanka on the 24th of April for the inauguration of the Umayyad Multipurpose Development Project, during which a number of bilateral agreements between Iran and Sri Lanka were inked. Following the announcement of the Iranian president's death, President Ranil Wickremesinghe, in an ex-post, conveyed his and the country's condolences. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena too expressed his sympathies in a message to the Iranian Vice President. Several world leaders also expressed their sympathies over Raisi's death, with a number of countries including Lebanon and Syria even declaring periods of mourning. Messages of condolences were also issued by Iran-backed militant groups including Palestine's Hamas, Lebanon's Hezbollah and the Houthis of Yemen. Raisi, who came to power in 2021, enjoyed the complete support of his patron, Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, and was seen as a strong candidate to succeed him. Following his election, Raisi oversaw a tightening of morality laws and a crackdown on anti-government protests, and pushed hard in nuclear talks with world powers. He also pursued strong retaliation against Israel's attack on the Iranian consulate in Syria earlier in April, which has led some to suggest possible Israeli involvement in the crash. Israel, however, has firmly denied any involvement in Raisi's death. Following the death of President Raisi, the first Vice President Mohammad Mokhbar has taken over his duties on an interim basis with the approval of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. As per the Iranian constitution, a presidential election will be held after an interim period of 50 days. In the meantime, Ali Bagheri Khani has been appointed as the acting foreign minister in place of the late Hussein Amir Abdullahian.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
ජීවිතේ හැම තැනකදීම ස්මාර්ට් වෙන්න පොලිය විතරක් ගෙවාගෙන යන්න CDB Smart Draft.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe says that the global north has failed miserably in adhering to its commitments to provide financial resources for climate change, but it's willing to fund death and destruction in Ukraine. Addressing the 10th World Water Forum today, President Wickremesinghe also proposed a 10% levy on the annual profits of global tax evasion assets deposited in tax havens, estimated at $1.4 trillion annually, to be utilized by the blended finance projects on climate change adaptation and mitigation.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe today addressed the 10th World Water Forum in Indonesia. In his speech, President Wickremesinghe claimed that climate change and water stress are two sides of the same issue and that the cumulative effects of climate change are the main reasons behind the water resource crisis. Highlighting the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change's projected climate scenarios till 2090, the President said Sri Lanka's dry zone is expected to dry out further and that the wet zone will further retain water in an unprecedented manner. He also highlighted that combating the threats to water resources posed by climate change requires colossal amounts of financial resources. Addressing the summit, President Wickremesinghe said that the global north has failed miserably in adhering to its commitments to provide financial resources for climate change. He said the global north is willing to fund death and destruction in Ukraine, but there is an unwillingness to fund measures to avoid death and destruction caused by climate change. During the speech, he also highlighted the Tropical Belt Initiative presented by Sri Lanka to COP28, claiming that it is a catalytic accelerator of solutions to the ongoing triple planetary crisis. The President believes that investment in the Tropical Belt will bring about transformative changes to combat the triple planetary crisis. He said Indonesia's initiative on global blended finance will enable the global south to mobilize much-needed financial resources and proposed a 10% levy on the annual profits of global tax evasion assets deposited in tax havens. Through the levy, the annual profits currently estimated at $1.4 trillion per annum can be made available to be utilized by the blended finance projects on climate change adaptation and mitigation. Appreciating Indonesia's contribution in introducing Global Blended Finance Initiative, the President highlighted that the initiative supplements the Loss and Damage Fund. The President went on to claim that the Loss and Damage Fund and the Global Blended Finance Initiative must work in tandem.
The topic of world water is very important to us. And the fact that Indonesia has in fact sponsored the resolution on blended finance is also important. But that seems to be the way in which we can raise resources for what is required in our part of the world. So we appreciated both the World Water Forum and the opening of the Secretariat in this background that we have come here to participate in a summit which is of importance to Sri Lanka.
State Minister of Finance Srihan Semesinghe says that the Economic Transformation Bill and the Public Financial Management Bill will be presented to Parliament this Wednesday. In a media briefing today at the President's Media Division, Minister Semesinghe further claimed that with the economic policy decisions taken to date, state income has risen to over 11% of GDP and that it needs to be further increased to achieve the 15% target set for 2026. Commenting on the debt repayments, the minister said Sri Lanka has repaid over $1.9 billion in its multilateral creditors' debt since June 2023 to February 2024.
The government has decided to present two important bills to Parliament on the 22nd of May. The first is the Economic Transformation Bill. Through that bill, we expect to maintain Sri Lanka's economic development. We also intend to improve competition, transform our economy to face global challenges, and build global connectivity throughout that bill. We also intend to improve competition, transform our economy to face global challenges, and build global connectivity through that bill. The bill will also contain certain provisions to allow changes when such changes are required to be made. The public financial management assures better financial management and accountability. We hear some people say that Sri Lanka doesn't have the means to repay its debt. From June 2023 to February 2024, the government has paid $1,909.7 million in debt. Further, we continue to service our multilateral debt. I assure you that Sri Lanka's economic transformation carried out in line with the IMF program includes the repayment of Sri Lanka's debt. Our state revenue are on the rise. But we have to increase it further since we have to set a state revenue to GDP target of 15% by 2026. We have increased it from 8% to more than 11% so far.
How do the government view this, the governance-linked bond that they have proposed?
Cannot comment on it right now. There are two different proposals. Our treatment is going to be based on two important principles. One is comparability treatment. This was one of the assurances President gave that the treatment will be comparable. And then how it will be aligning with the DSA published. So those are two main concerns. The IMF, the OCC, or other creditors, the bondholders, all will be looking at. So I'm sure we can come into an amicable agreement once the discussions are concluded.
Now in your weather updates, as the southwestern monsoon conditions gradually establish across the country, the Meteorological Department forecasts heavy rains above 100 millimeters to occur in the western, Sabaragamuwa, central, northwestern, southern and northern provinces during the upcoming 24 hours. Meanwhile, considering the prevailing adverse weather conditions, the closure of schools in the Puttalam district were extended to tomorrow as well. Further, the Disaster Management Centre announced a total of 19,234 individuals in 7 districts have been affected by the current inclement weather conditions.
Due to the active southwest monsoon conditions, heavy rains continue to occur in several parts of the country today. The highest rainfall of 141.6 millimeters was recorded from the Kuliapiti area during the past 24 hours. As the inclement weather conditions continued during the past few days, several lowland areas continue to remain inundated. The Valikada, Kulupana and Pokunuit areas of Horana also remain submerged today. Several lowlands in the Puttalam district were also overrun by floods due to prevailing torrential rains. As a result, all schools in the Puttalam district were closed today. This evening, the Director of Education in the Northwestern Province announced that the schools in the Puttalam district will remain closed tomorrow as well in view of the adverse weather patterns. Meanwhile, with the inclement weather conditions persisting island-wide, water levels of several rivers and reservoirs continue to rise. Accordingly, the water level of the Rajangane reservoir rose to 32 feet, prompting authorities to open several sluice gates. Further, all 2 sluice gates of the Angamo reservoir were opened to allow the release of 1,200 cubic meters of water per second. Similarly, 10 sluice gates of the Tabova reservoir were also opened to accommodate the reservoir's capacity.
Today, the All Ceylon Prison Officers Union commenced a trade union action prompting the members to call in sick until the 22nd of May. The trade union action was taken over various demands, including a wage hike. However, the media spokesperson of the Prisons Department, Prisons Commissioner Gamini B. Disanayaka, stated that all sick leaves have been cancelled and informed all officers to report back to work.
Prison officers in Balikada, Gaul and Mathura launched a trade union action today over several demands, including an increase in wages and a solution addressing the current shortage of prison officers. However, Prisons Commissioner General Gamini B. Disanayaka highlighted that prison officers are not legally allowed to engage in strike actions considering the nature of their service.
Today, a few prison officers called in sick and did not report to work. Those that did report to work abandoned their court duties. The Prisons Department strictly condemns those actions taken by the prison officers in question. We will not hesitate to take disciplinary and legal actions against anyone who takes part in such trade union actions.
As a result of the prison officers' strike today, court proceedings were severely inconvenienced since suspects in prison were not produced before court, stalling the progress of pending judicial matters. The inconvenience caused as such prompted Colombo Chief Magistrate Tirinagamage to order the Prisons Commissioner to furnish a full report on those officers who neglected their duties today. In the meantime, Justice Minister President's Counsel Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa highlighted several concerns impeding prison officers from executing their duties, but highlighted that they have no right to stall judicial proceedings.
Prison officers organized this strike through a WhatsApp group. All prison officers are law enforcement officials. Therefore, they have no right to engage in any trade union action. It is unclear what legal action will be taken against those prison officers for neglecting their duties. We do accept that there have been certain injustices faced by the prison officers due to our shortcomings. Prison officers and police officers used to receive similar pay and were held in similar regard. However, after 2013, the police department received increments to their allowances on several occasions, while the prison officers did not receive most of those increments. Last year, on the 9th of October, I proposed the disbursement of an allowance to prison officers at a cabinet meeting. Due to the country's economic crisis and the lack of funds in the treasury, that proposal was not acted upon. We discussed this matter again today and agreed to present a proposal to the cabinet and arrange an allowance of 15,000 rupees initially. Please know that we have not neglected this matter. We believe that they deserve justice. However, they must know that they do not have the right to sabotage the judicial system of this country.
Now, the Criminal Investigation Department presented a report to the Colombo Chief Magistrates Court naming former State Minister Derana as a suspect in the legal matters surrounding the acquisition of a diplomatic passport. Meanwhile, in another court development, the Maligakanda Magistrates Court further remanded former Minister Keheli Rambukwella and the 7 other suspects arrested in relation to the import of the substandard vials of human immunoglobulin. Accordingly, all 8 suspects were further remanded until the 3rd of June.
The Criminal Investigation Department yesterday submitted a report to the Colombo Chief Magistrate claiming that former State Minister Derana has committed offences under the Immigrants and Emigrants Act by acquiring a diplomatic passport through the submission of fraudulent documents. Taking the facts laid before court into consideration, Colombo Chief Magistrate Tiruna named Derana as a suspect in the matter. Accordingly, the Colombo Chief Magistrate Tiruna ordered the CID to take necessary measures and report back on the progress of the matter in due time. Additionally, the CID has also informed the Colombo Chief Magistrate that the accused is currently not at her residence. In the meantime, the legal matter on the import of substandard vials of human immunoglobulin was taken up before the Maligakanda Magistrates Court today. However, as a result of the ongoing strike action of the prison officers today, the 8 suspects, including former Health Minister Keheli Rambukwella, were not produced before court. After considering the facts presented by the complainant and the defence, Maligakanda Magistrate Lochaniabe Vikrama ordered the 8 suspects to be remanded further until the 3rd of June. The 33-year-old suspect arrested for attacking the Iranian ambassador to Sri Lanka, Dr. Alireza Delghosh, was further remanded until the 22nd of this month. The order was made by the 4th Magistrate Kosala Sena Dera today. On the 18th of May, the Iranian ambassador to Sri Lanka was attacked at the parking lot of the Colombo city centre. After producing the suspect before the 4th Magistrates Court today, Senior Deputy Solicitor General Dilipa Pires, speaking for the prosecution, pointed out that this is the first time such an incident was reported in the history of Sri Lanka.
Now, Global Ambassador for Peace, Humanitarian and Spiritual Leader Gurudev Sri Ravi Shankar commends Sri Lanka's progress towards achieving a strong, prosperous and equitable society. Speaking to media during his 3-day visit to Sri Lanka, Gurudev Sri Ravi Shankar stressed that educating youth remains a priority for Sri Lanka at this juncture. He has visited Sri Lanka previously during 5 occasions, once during the civil war to negotiate a peace deal with the LTTE and again during the tsunami disaster to help the children orphaned from the disaster.
Gurudev Sri Ravi Shankar graced an event in Colombo themed Ekamutuva, attended by a large gathering last evening.
Welcome to Ekamutuva.
Speaker of Parliament Mahinda Yapa Abeyewardene and Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka Santosh Jha shared the panel with Gurudev during the gathering. A Lifetime Recognition Award was presented to Gurudev by President of Ambassadors Forum Sri Lanka, President's Council Ambassador Sarath Vijay Singha. Meanwhile, State Minister for Defence Pramita Bandara Tennakon also presented an honorary award to Gurudev. The ceremony began with Buddhist religious observances.
As Buddhists in Sri Lanka, our art of living is live in harmony and peace. We are blessed with so many blessings from India and we want that to continue.
Within just a 2-day period, he is covering the expanse of Sri Lanka, the length and breadth of the country. And I'd like to thank him for his presence here. We are really blessed to have him and to listen to him.
Sri Lanka plays the most important role in all of Southeast Asia. You know why? The history of Sri Lanka of 7500 BC of Ramayana is so intricately linked with Sri Lanka. You remove Sri Lanka and there is no Ramayana. There is no Ramayana. Don't think just economic growth alone will bring a country up. No. I was asked to speak on peace and security in United Nations last year. I told them, you see in one breath peace and security. You spend billions and billions of dollars in security but nothing on the peace issue. It is a peace and security but peace is gone. Only security, and security means more fear. We have done nothing in peace education.
Meanwhile, Gurudev also spoke to media earlier yesterday.
I see a lot of improvement, lot of changes. I've been coming to Sri Lanka for several decades now and I've seen the worst time here and the best time as well. Now I'm seeing that Sri Lanka is moving towards a strong, prosperous and equitous society. Our job is to educate you so that they become employable.
Gurudev also witnessed a first-day cover launched in celebration of the completion of 200 years of Indian origin Tamils in Sri Lanka. The occasion was attended by Chief of Presidential Staff Sagar Ratnayaka and Minister of Foreign Affairs Ali Sabri.
Welcome back now on your business news. The Colombo Stock Exchange closed in red today with market turnover crossing 1 billion rupees. The benchmark all-share price index settled at 12,235.14 points after gaining 0.69%, while the S&P Sri Lanka 20 gained 0.64% to close at 3,614.24 points. High net worth and institutional investor participation was noted in Sampath Bank, Hatton National Bank and Lanka IOC, while mixed interest was observed in dipped products, Haley's and Brown's Investments. Foreign participation in the market activity remained at subdued levels, with foreigners closing as net buyers. Capital goods sector was the top contributor to the market turnover, while the sector index lost 0.14%. The banking sector was the second highest contributor to market turnover, while the sector index decreased 0.52%. Up next is senior analyst from Capital Alliance Limited, Amrit Fernando, with a few thoughts to round off our Markets in View segment for the week.
Last week, the domestic equity market ended the week on a negative note, with the ASPI down almost 200 points or 1.6% at 12,319, compared to the previous week where it surpassed 12,500. The S&P SL20 also followed this trend, declining 2.5% to settle at 3,637. Total market turnover for the week also fell almost 7% to 11 billion rupees, with domestic participation subdued, while foreign participation increased marginally. This short week, market activity is expected to remain subdued, with investors opting for a wait-and-see approach until the next monetary policy meeting on the 27th of May. Moving on to last week's Treasury bill auction, the total of 177.5 billion rupees were raised, with interest rates falling by over 30 basis points across the board. This indicates the possible expectation of a rate cut at next week's monetary policy meeting. Looking ahead to this week's Treasury bill auction, the government aims to raise 160 billion rupees.
Now let's take a look at some corporate news in brief.
SoftLogic Life recorded gross written premium of 7.2 billion rupees during the first 3 months ending 31st March. The top-line growth saw an increase of 20% compared to 3% during the corresponding period of last year. Profit after tax for the period in review rose by 854 million rupees, an increase of 70% year-on-year, while profit before tax grew by 46% compared to last year to stand at 1.2 billion rupees. Total assets of the company stood at 51.8 billion rupees, while total equity was recorded at 12.8 billion rupees. In the meantime, Ceylon Cold Stores plc announced the resignation of its non-executive board director M. Hamza with effect from the 19th of June 2024. The company also stated that he does not hold shares in the company as at the date of his resignation.
For you tonight. Thank you. Have a great night.